thank you for taking a few minutes. We want to take you back a little bit and have you share with our fellow realtors what it was like, what your memories are, first memories of being a realtor, selling your first house.
Well, my recollection of selling my first house was the excitement on the part of the buyer that actually was able to buy a property that they didn't think they could ever get themselves into, and just the joy of ownership. I mean, that's what I remember.
My first memory was of a wonderful older woman that lived on Roland Avenue who had a dog named Jeff and who would bark when anybody would come to the door. I mean, just a wonderful lady that was about 100 years old. Just had a great time helping her sell that house, and she had a million memories. She was like a history book. That's what I remember.
When were you each president?
I was president in 1991.
He's a lot older than I am, so I was president in 1999.
So what's, Brandon, you first, what was your first memory or some of the important things that you recall happening as you were president?
In 91, unfortunately, we went into a deep recession. And I remember meeting with the Sun papers because, like today, 2007, they've not been generous in their coverage of real estate. And I remember a new editor came into town. We had lunch with him down at Harbor Court and said, look, you've got to report the news in a more favorable manner. And he said, what are you talking about? And we discussed how they always report the news as being half empty, rather, the glass being half empty rather than half full. The next day they reran the article doing it the other way. And we said, great, can you keep that up? That lasted for about 3 days. And they went back to being the Daily Pravda again.
1999, what were your challenges as president?
Times were interesting. We had just been through some leadership changes at the board. We had just brought Jody Landers in as our new executive officer. We didn't realize at the time, but we were at the end of a declining market where in '89, when I came into the business, there were over 5,000 members of the board. The year I was president, we were down to 2,200 members. And there was red ink for a few years. But we were turning the corner, and the economy of the country was turning the corner, and we had an opportunity to attack the closing cost issues in the state of Maryland. And because the municipalities were doing well in tax revenues, we were actually able to introduce legislation that changed the collection of the property taxes from annual to semi-annual property taxes, which saved cash at closing in the counties 15% and in Baltimore City 22%. That means that the buyers could come to the settlement table with that much less cash, which we felt was a huge impetus to closing that.
Interesting. When I was president, we testified on that issue. And MACO, the Maryland Association of Counties, said, never happened, we can never account for that. It took 8 years for that to happen.
And that shows you, and that's GBBR and MAR together working, and the other local boards working to get this legislation through. And MACO testified against us as usual in 1999, and the state legislature stood up and said, you know what, you've been against this thing for 8 years and we're tired of it, it's the right thing to do and we're going to do it. And we got it through that year. So that was a great accomplishment for the boards of realtors, and I enjoyed being there when it happened.
I can't let you go without asking you, after the years of working together as practitioners, coming together in a new venture at this stage in your careers, how does that feel, getting together and forming a business opportunity?
Oh, it's awesome. Always had the utmost respect for Michael Yerman, and I just feel privileged to have the opportunity to work together, build a culture that we're very proud of.
Privileged is a great word. I mean, I feel honored to be able to get up in the morning and go to work with Brandon and Michael Yerman, people of that caliber, and our other partners, and it's just a joy to come in. And we have fun every day in our business.
What could you say to realtors, younger realtors and newer realtors about the future of GBBR and our foundation and the activities and things that we're trying to promote?
I've always had a tremendous amount of pride in GBBR. I'll never forget the first day that I went to orientation at GBBR, and Fletcher Hall, who was the executive officer at the time, sat back and said, "We are the oldest board of realtors in the country. Our code of ethics was the foundation of the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics." Those are words I've remembered to this day. I'm very proud of that. GBBR has a rich past and a very prosperous future, I believe.
Bill Wilson, who was one of my partners back in 1984, I guess. Adam Cockey, two people that just talked about GBBR and the importance of giving back to the industry. And it's as important today as it was back then. So,
well, thank you for taking time.
Thank you.